Now, Mr. Peterside, it is now accepted by most that Nigeria is one of the most corrupt nations on earth. What is your opinion on the impact that corruption has on this society and on us as a people?
I think the corruption that we're talking about is at the 3 tiers of government. Local government, probably even the worst, then state government, then federal. I say probably even the worst because there are local governments, I'm sure you've heard, where the chairman just shows up, collects the money, does what he likes with it and goes away. Nobody even challenges him. As you go higher up, it becomes a little bit more difficult because you cannot just show up in Ministry of Finance and take everything and disappear at the federal level. Life isn't that simple. The point is that corruption is also there in the private sector. So I don't want you to think that I'm only referring to government sector. No sort of luck.
Okay.
Private sector too is corrupt. Now, I think what we have to do is we have to restructure our economy, restructure our economic arrangements in a manner that makes it more difficult for people to be corrupt. And let me explain. That is why you mentioned earlier on that I was involved in efforts to privatize. What people want to do is to get government to be involved in many activities so that if they get into government, they have the whole kitty in their hands to mismanage. So you want to really reduce the size of government, if anything, so that government is only involved with those critical things like security, defense, and so on, and get government out of business. The point I'm making is that corruption is greatest where there's discretion, where you allow somebody to occupy an office, and he's the only one that decides who gets what. So I'm saying that if you want to reduce corruption, you have to remove discretion. You have to make arrangements that remove the discretion of the public officers and so on. Because the bulk of the corruption comes through the ability to exercise discretion. I'm saying that we have been progressively trying to eliminate discretion and to reduce, but not fast enough. What happens is that the government is clever enough always to throw in stumbling blocks and delay.
Is this government doing enough, in your opinion, to tackle the problem?
I think this government has been a little bit inconsistent in terms of philosophy. If you notice, we are privatizing the power sector. We are taking efforts to liquidate NITEL and so on. But every day you still wake up and find that some other arm of government is planning further investments, trying to get involved government more into business and so on.
Give us examples.
You see, for instance, my views are known on this. You know, the whole petroleum sector. If you notice, was it last week, I heard somebody from Nupeng arguing that he did not want the government to privatize the refineries. NNPC has failed to run the refineries in 40 years. Why would somebody in a union in Nupeng be canvassing that he does not want to have the refineries, an obvious activity that involves business? He doesn't want it transferred to the private sector. He wants instead to justify giving more resources. I assume that he's probably an agent of NNPC.
You brought up the issue of NNPC. In the news has been the issue of the sacking of the CBN governor, who some people see as a whistleblower, others see as having his own personal issues and therefore, trying to embarrass government. But the point is that doubts have been raised about a huge amount of money that is said to be missing. And so far, apart from verbal talk about investigations, nothing has happened.
I believe the sequence of events was that when an amount of money was established as not having been remitted to the Federation account by NNPC, I saw in the newspapers, that's my only source, NNPC quickly said that money was used for X, Y, Z, and yonder. Now, the only thing you can do is to verify that through a forensic audit. There's a difference between somebody refusing to answer an allegation and somebody answering immediately and say, look, the money you're looking for is over there, and yonder. So you have to go and check all those places. And unfortunately, from what I understand as a financial person, a forensic audit is a slow and tedious process if it's forensic.
Okay. Now, you took such a personal interest in this case that you took out a newspaper ad. And I was a little bit curious as to why, what the motive was that you felt so involved that
it's very
you felt
simple.
You needed to make your case.
No, it's very simple. If a story breaks, who do you want to interview? Somebody on the roadside and he gives you his views, or do you also want to get the views of somebody who you think is on the economic team with the president and with the central bank governor, somebody who is a bank chairman, so he cannot claim ignorance on matters of central banking and so on. So the point I'm making is that I think I was an obvious candidate for the media to run to. When I was actually in London, the first comment I gave was on CNBC. They traced me to London and almost forced me into a telephone interview, even though it was a TV station when they found out I was overseas. I gave them a very brief response. Then there was an avalanche. All kinds of people approached me, all trying to get my comments and so on. And I thought, this matter is delicate, important, sensitive. I don't even want to get into the game of arguing with some reporter that I didn't say this and I said that and the other. So I thought, okay, you know what? All of you say you want my reaction. Guess what? Tomorrow morning you have my reaction. So tomorrow morning I give everybody a written statement so that nobody can misquote me. And even if you misquote me, I myself will publish what I gave you. So now, you're free to twist it any way you like.
If I remember correctly, the contents of that ad was really to the effect that there should be investigations. If allegations have been made, they should be investigated, and things should not be hidden or pushed under the carpet.
I made it clear that there were FRC had allegations against CBN. CBN must answer the allegations. They finally done so now.
Are you
I made it clear.
satisfied?
I have seen the response, but you know, believe me, when there are figures being mentioned, it's not enough. You need the person who has the official authority to verify figures. I give the example of an NPC. As soon as some money is missing, they say the money was used for this, this, and that. Then you have to go and verify that. Likewise, I mean, Sanusi says some of the money they asked for was used for this, 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 and that. Somebody has to go and verify that. But on the face of it, he seems to have mentioned what the funds were used for. I think there was also some allegation about whether or not central bank was, I saw that in the papers, was it even yesterday or today, about whether they were giving, it was in court it appeared. The government lawyer was saying that the central bank gave out large sums of money or the other for various causes, and whether that was legal.
In line with it.
Exactly. So those issues, you know, so for me, it's not about satisfaction. Let me tell you what it's about. I always had a policy that guided me my entire career. If I am doing anything when working and I have a boss, anything that's material, unusual, or difficult, I repeat, anything material, unusual, or difficult, I cleared with my boss first. So that if I did it, my boss cannot claim ignorance. So my point I'm making is that if there's something that's a gray area, whether you're allowed to give out large, huge sums of money to whoever you like and so on, if you follow my rules, the amount material, is it unusual? Is it difficult? I would cover myself by clearing with my boss. So as soon as you raise the query, I say, hang on a second, my boss cleared it.
How would you judge the CBN Sanusi stewardship?
Look, don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody was arguing that Lamido brought sanity to the banking industry. All those distressed banks, resolution of those issues, bringing down inflation, stable exchange rate. There's no argument about that. I think, in all honesty, I don't think there's any controversy on all those things. I think the controversy came from other areas, which I wish they never occurred.
Would you have handled his suspension in quite that way if you had the authority, or are there things that you think would have been done differently?
I'll be honest with you, because there are things that happened that I still don't understand. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you're familiar in Nigeria with working arrangements in government in Abuja. I don't understand how a public officer has a major issue to raise with the president, like missing funds, and you only put it in a letter and drop it in a general mailing room, and it's supposed to go up to the president in the midst of 45,000 letters written by all types of Nigerians.
If you don't have access to the president,
let me explain.
which is part of what I have heard said.
Sorry.
Isn't that what you do?
I'm not even trying to fault anybody. I said I don't understand something. Number two, what I don't understand also is, I opened this day one day, and I saw a detailed discussion of what transpired between the president and the CBN governor in a one-on-one meeting. I have had discussions with the president before, one-on-one. I have never seen what we discussed on the front page of the newspaper the following day. Now, if it's a one-on-one meeting, And you don't have to be a genius to figure it out. Either the president let the contents out to the media, or the other
CBN
person
governor
did. Now, when you read the story, unfortunately, I mean, you're a media person. When you read the story, you can even see who is the hero in the story, so that if it was coming from one side, the slant will be to make that person the hero. Because how can we work together if in a one-on-one discussion,
there's no
it's a
trust,
front page story? Now, I'm saying I don't understand.
Now,
You can be theorizing as to how it happened, how it didn't happen. I'm saying I don't understand.
based on what you're saying now, it sounds to me as if you are disappointed about the actions of the CBN governor, a man who, at a event that was put in his honor, you said, and I quote, "I make this declaration publicly and without any hesitation because Lamido is a man I have known for over 35 years. We are both economists and professional bankers, and our paths have crossed repeatedly over the years. Lamido is intelligent, bold, courageous, independent, straightforward, honest, and humble."
Yes.
It sounds as if he's let you down.
No. I said there are some things I don't understand. Because if somebody is, like you said, intelligent, bold, all those things, then I'm saying that there are some things which don't fit the script. That's all I'm saying. You know, somewhere along the line, they say pride comes before the fall. Somewhere along the line, it is possible that there's a misconception as to what independence of a central bank means. Everybody in this country, if you're on the executive side, your ultimate boss is the president. You've got to subject yourself to that basic discipline. The independence we're talking about, some of us were the ones who fought for autonomy for a central bank. It was on monetary policy.
Now, what do you think the implications are for that independence that you fought for, given the recent suspension? There are commentators who've said this is damaging.
Let me help you.
Yes.
It is worse than that.
Okay.
I think the sum total of what transpired with Lamido Sanusi is such that it will probably be 2 decades before any president thinks about appointing an independent-minded CBN governor. So you can argue who damaged the independence. You see, independence does not grow on trees. You get independence by the sum total of the way you handle yourself. Your boss wants to do something. By the time he calls you, you already have the answers. You show him that you've already solved the problem. He leaves you alone. Tomorrow he calls you again to ask about something. You tell him, no, this one is under control. We're doing this, and that, sir, and so on. By the 4th day, he'll just leave you alone. He says, until this fellow is on top of things, there's no point in me wasting my time. Let me go and face other people who probably don't know what they're doing. So the point is that independence does not come from confronting or answering back and so on. It comes from the sum total of how you comport yourself.
Now, you do understand the implications of what you just said. By extension, you're implying now that the new central bank governor is not independent.
No.
If it's going to take 20 decades.
Let me explain. What I want to point out is that human beings, naturally, we overreact. If everybody's had the problem of central bank governor being in the news, controversy every day, blah, 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 the most likely thing that will happen, if you believe I'm wrong, tell me, is that we'll swing to the other extreme. We'll be looking for persons who by their very nature are not remotely controversial and so on. So yes, you're right. Can you tell me when Godwin of Zenith Bank has ever been involved before in straightforward trying to confront anybody and so controversy and so on? So the point I'm making is that we're going to naturally move towards personalities who are not controversial.
And
that is human nature, but that has nothing to do with competence. I'm saying that you're not going to take a fiery sort of personality again. It won't happen.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we examine the power problem in Nigeria as Nigeria becomes Africa's biggest economy, whose objective is to rank among the top 20 economies in the world. We talk about the role uninterrupted power supply will play in achieving this. Join us after the break.